On the news, Senate advances bill to streamline management of recovered assets. Stringent measures against banditry and criminality as lawmakers assess situation in Bauchi. Plus, House of Representatives call on local governments to tackle corruption and embrace fiscal discipline. Good evening and welcome to Parliamentary News. I am Abubakar Galadima. Senate has passed for second reading a bill to establish an agency that will manage recovered assets and properties derived from unlawful activities. The bill proposes the amendment of the Proceeds of Crime Recovered and Management Act to address the overlapping roles of various agencies of government. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
18 agencies, according to the sponsor of the bill, Senator Idiato Laurenti, have the mandate of investigating and recovery of proceeds of crime, and this makes it difficult to ensure accountability and transparency in the management of such assets.
It's also making it difficult to have standardized mode of engagement on recovery and management of these assets across the 18 organizations.
There are situations where these assets are sold to the staff of those agencies. And what she is saying that we need to block those leakages. Let there be an independent agent.
Nobody knows how many properties recovered, from where, by who, and how much is auctioned.
Some lawmakers, however, argued against the proposed legislation to prevent duplication.
I don't think there is need for us to create an agency to manage recovery of proceeds. But the existing laws that we have should be strengthened. Where necessary, we should amend.
Why do we create another agency when already we have several of these agencies that are feeding fat on the lean resources of the federal government?
Second time, please say aye.
The bill passed second reading and was referred to the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Legal Matters and Human Rights. Also passed at second reading is the bill to amend the National Assembly Service Pension Board.
This amendment seeks to address all the inherent shortcomings of the Act by restructuring the governance structure of the board and reintroduce the contributory pension scheme.
To bring it in consonance with federal government guidelines on pension schemes.
Bring your experience to bear here so that we can create a scheme that will help the National Assembly workers that will take care of their interests by the time they leave their work so that they will not be looking here and there.
After the considerations at plenary, members of the People's Democratic Party Senate caucus briefed the press on recent moves to resolve the crisis within the PDP and expressed support to the party to lead the coalition of opposition parties in 2027.
The Senate caucus of the PDP, therefore, urges all our team members to remain resolute in their commitment, dedication, and loyalty to the party. The caucus believes that a series of activities lined up by the leadership of the party will throw up a new lease of life and leadership in the party that will make it very competitive in future elections.
PDP currently has 29 members in the Red Chamber. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Chairman Senate Committee on National Security Shehu Buba assured the Nigerian Senate's commitment to work closely with security agencies, local communities and youth groups towards developing sustainable strategies that will bring to an end banditry and kidnapping activities across the country. This is his remark when he led a delegation to Bauchi State after the recent banditry attack leading to the loss of lives, including member of local vigilante. Awal Abdullahi reports.
It was after visiting the families of the people killed by bandits that the chairman of the Senate Committee on National Security, Shehu Buba, paid a condolence visit to Governor Bala Mohammed at the Bauchi State Government House. The Senate Committee chairman stressed the importance of intelligence sharing of suspicious security issues to the relevant authorities.
And I'm here to condole His Excellency and the government of Bauchi State over the recent attacks by the criminals to our people in Alkali local government. We had a meeting and we discussed the security issues and the challenges. So there is no party in fighting the insecurity.
Governor Bala Mohammed commended the efforts and called for more collaboration in the fight against the insecurity.
He has come with some very high-level security people to assist us, to assist our security apparatus here with affirmation from the federal government that they are now conscious of our peculiar security challenges and will collaborate with the local communities, with the state government, with the local government, and everybody to ensure that all these challenges are dealt with.
The Bauchi governor also disclosed that the state government has supported families of the 17 members of Vigilante who have lost their lives with 5 million naira each to ameliorate their hardship. In Bauchi, Awwal Abdullahi, NTA News.
In another development, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says the 10th National Assembly is committed to ending oil theft in the Niger Delta and stimulating local production for developments to thrive. National Assembly correspondent Issa Mohammed reports that Akpabio stated this in a message to a public hearing on incessant oil theft by Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Oil Theft.
Worried by the incessant case of oil theft and destruction of pipelines in the Niger Delta region, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, represented by the Deputy Senate President, Baro Jibrin, says combined efforts are underway to end the ugly trends.
We are prepared to strengthen laws, enhance oversight, and ensure that agencies responsible for protecting our oil assets are held accountable. This fight cannot be left to the government alone. All companies must invest in modern surveillance technology and secure pipelines.
Chairman and members of the Ad Hoc Committee noted that the public hearing is not to witch hunt anyone, but to enable the committee gather vital information in its quest to end oil theft and increase production.
It is a decisive platform to uncover the root causes of crude oil theft, bunkering and pipeline vandalism, evaluate the effectiveness of existing surveillance, monitoring and enforcement mechanisms, identify regulatory and legislative gaps that enable these crimes to thrive.
There is need for us to take a bold step, and the 10th Senate has taken that bold step. It is not business as usual. This committee this time is not a jamboree. We are going to work.
Key players in the oil sector agree with all submissions during the hearing, especially synergy by security agencies in fight against oil theft and vandalism. From the National Assembly, Issa Muhammad, NTA News.
The National Assembly is currently legislating on the amendment of the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management Act 2007 with a view to making it be in tandem with what obtains in the procurement profession practice world over. In this special report, correspondent Joshua Ogunjide examines what the amendment seeks to achieve. His report.
The institute was established in the year 1974 and subsequently registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission in 1984 as the Nigerian Institute for Purchasing and Supply Management. By 2007, the nomenclature changed by an act of the Nigerian Parliament as the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management. About 2 decades forward, the name seems not to meet up with the global trend, hence the advocacy for the amendment of the Act.
The intention of the bill is to ensure that the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management of Nigeria is in tandem with what is obtainable elsewhere in the world. They started with this name, but at the moment the process has changed. The name has changed to procurement system. So the bill is to consolidate to ensure that it's in line with the international standards. So I employ my colleagues to support the bill to be considered.
A conundrum is that which concerns the nomenclature stemming out of the clauses to be amended and the implications to nation building.
Due to the global change, other professional bodies like Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply, UK, has changed the nomenclature to Chartered Institute of Procurement. And the polytechnics and universities in Nigeria offering degree in purchasing and supply and HND or OND purchasing and supply has also changed the nomenclature from degree, HND or OND in purchasing and supply to degree, HND or OND to purchasing or to procurement and supply management. So we now saw the need that to be in tandem with the global practice, it is better for us also to not change our nomenclature. That's why we went for the amendment.
The Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply Chain Management has been training professionals in the area of procurement, purchasing, supply chain management, logistics, warehousing, and store management. The impact and the knowledge that this institute has imparted, it has gone beyond just say we are into purchasing. It has covered a very wide area that include environmental and social safeguard, issues of gender-based violence, issues of corporate social responsibilities. So we are also trying to give the soft and the hard skill that are required by the procurement professionals to practice in this country. One of the core or some of the core principles of procurement is value of money, efficiency, competition, transparency, and adhering to the ethical principle. That's issue of good governance. So when you want to turn around the economy, the role of procurement practitioners is very key, very central.
Having passed the public hearing stage, with the report of the House of Representatives Committee on Public Procurement being considered, the Institute is expected of the Senate to as well deliberate on the amendment concurrently. In Abuja, Joshua Gujde, NT News.
We have the coordinator, North Central Wing of the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management of Nigeria, Dr. Abdul Mamman. He is also a fellow of the Institute. Welcome to Parliamentary News.
Thank you very much.
Doctor, can you give us a background as regards the act establishing the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management in Nigeria?
In 1999, shortly after Nigeria went to democratic governance, then President Olusegun Obasanjo thought it wise to ensure that issues that had bedeviled the reverse economic situation in the country were addressed. You may recall that the first committee he set up then was Dr. Christopher Kolade Committee to ascertain what happened during the military era regarding contract award. And secondly, while that was going on along the side, he also called on the World Bank, that the children of the Bretton Woods institution, to assist Nigeria to unravel the ever negative recurring decimal of economic issues that we have had over time and see how well we can refocus Nigeria to get it better. That was why a reform on public procurement was pushed forward, and the World, under the leadership of the World Bank, we had what was called a country procurement assessment committee that was put in place. And at the end, after about 9 months sitting, we went into sessions and we were able to identify some of the issues that created that for the country, which were: one, contracts were awarded without being executed and payment effected. Contracts were awarded without proper drawing or design. Contracts were awarded without commensurate value at the end of the day that comes to the procuring entity. Contracts were awarded by not on merit but on who knows who. So these were issues that contributed to what we were having then. And in order to get that done, a 2-volume document was submitted to government for action. And one interesting thing that I like to talk about is that the current Minister of Finance, Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy was one of those that participated in that study, and as well as the immediate past Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, who was Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Lagos as at then. And they were all working under the current President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for you to know exactly the manner of people that had contributed in doing that.
Is there any distinction between the term purchasing and procurement?
If you go through the entire gamut of public procurement, the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management Act, as well as Public Procurement Act. In the Public Procurement Act, the word that is put there is the phrase is procurement professional, because they know what it means. You have to be a professional to practice it. And I could recall from the comment that was made when the president then was assenting to the law, was that this is the body that will provide the raw material. What he was referring to was the human resource that is required to push this particular reform into going forward. At the end of the day, we saw it, and it was that of Public Procurement Act was not able to be completed within period that time, but it was late President Yar'Adua that on 4th of June 2007 signed it into law. But since it came into being, there are people with certain definition to procurement that decide to change that we are purchasing, they are procurement. They have forgotten that it's an evolutionary thing. Purchasing is a process of acquisition of goods and services at the right time, right place, right quality, right methodology, right finance, right delivery. All these rights are components of what is now known as the principles. And why procurement is a process of acquisition also of goods, works and services, including logistical aspects, from the initial definition of individual, business, public sector, throughout the useful life of procured asset via contract. What this means is this: government all over the world borrowed the word procurement because it was in 1878 from the American military, specifically American Navy, that particular word, meaning acquisition process procurement, was founded. And it had been adopted by governments across the world for public sector.
What are the key clauses in the bill for an act to be amended?
Yes, the clauses are that: 1, members of this institute have been discriminated against over time because they were treated as people who studied purchasing. And so, but those who are saying that refuse to know that that is the word that actually dovetail into the procurement activity we are talking about. Now, it is about change of name. So the name have now been changed by the House of Representatives through effective discussion we had with them, and the very committee of the House Committee on Public Procurement did a fantastic job, because they were able to see, in order to bring the institute to global trend that is available now all over the world, then they have to accept, after we had defended our position. They did the first hearing, the second hearing, and they committed it to Committee on Public Procurement. A committee of the committee sat, and the public hearing was conducted on 15th of July 2024. And finally, they tried as much as possible to also get input from all other persons that were available, including the Bureau of Public Procurement, because that's where we are to support them to get it right. And part of that is that the name, as well as we want to have an academy, because in order to structure it better now is that we wish we have the academy before now, but it is not late. It is part of what has been passed, so that we can effectively monitor our own examinations across the Federation of Nigeria. You know, in accounting profession, ANAN has what is called Nigeria College of Accountancy. So we want to have that particular setup in order to maintain standard and have effective supervision. Another one is one recurring issue that will help the Bureau to get their job properly done, has to do with issues of procurement audit. Audit in procurement is a very sensitive area that enables you to track what is happening regarding the spend management that is undertaken. If you don't have effective auditing at intervals of time, you might miss it. The money will have gone. And if it is misapplied or misprocurement will be identified, red flags are raised, then automatically you will be spending government money again to pursue people in order to prosecute them. It is like kobo wise, naira foolish. It doesn't make any sense. So procurement audit are essential, where the power is already granted in the Bureau of Public Procurement to conduct it, but they are to use specifically professionals in this field. Because one important thing we want them to understand is this: if you do an audit and you need to seal it, if it's not the proper professional body that trains and certifies for that, that particular report is not going to be accepted. Because if you are doing post-mortem, you require a medical doctor report. That is their seal. If it's complex engineering drawing, you require that. Architect, the same thing. Quantity surveyor, you require their seal. That's why we are saying we are part and parcel of the Bureau, and we want the Bureau to succeed.
Thank you for your insight, Dr. Abdul Mohammed.
You're welcome.
We'll now take a break. The news continues shortly. Stay with us. Are you looking for a short channel to make your business, goods and services go viral? Look no further, as NTA Parliament is your short channel. Take advantage of our wider reach and advertise your products and services on NTA Parliament DSTV channel 370, GoTV channel 126, StarTimes channel 306, and Free TV channel 706. For more inquiries, contact the Marketing Department, NTA Parliament, NTA Headquarters Area 11 Garki Abuja, or call these numbers 080-383-40464 or 080-770-78055. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy. Welcome back. The House of Representatives says the ongoing quest to amend the Pension Reforms Act 2014 is to ensure sustainability of the contributory pension scheme and financial stability for workers and retirees in the scheme. Chairman House Committee on Pension, Mohammed Hussaini Jallo, stated this at a stakeholders' engagement towards amendment of the Pension Reform Act 2014. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikben reports.
10 years after enactment of the Pension Reform Act 2014, stakeholders are yearning for amendment of the existing law to be in tune with current realities. Proposed amendments revolve around access to funds in the retirement savings account by workers and retirees in the contributory pension scheme, as well as expanding informal sector participation by reducing the number of employees for businesses seeking to be captured.
Section 2, subsection 2, it should be amended by substituting the number 15 or more employees with the word 5 or more employees.
We're proposing an amendment such that an employee, in the event of a medical emergency, is able to access not more than 25% of his or RSA, right, provided that the medical emergency in terms of cost exceeds 2 million naira.
Offenses, penalties, and enforcement powers. Any person who defrauds or attempts to defraud a pensioner commits an offense and shall be handed over to the appropriate security agency for prosecution.
These proposals, the committee's chairman says, will form the basis for critical pension sector reforms.
By the time the National Assembly, House of and Senate conclude this amendment, the pension industry will be better for all Nigerians.
At another public hearing on 11 agricultural sector bills, lawmakers express optimism that passage of the bills will strengthen research and modernize the sector.
The nation needs more agricultural colleges and research institutions.
Expanding extension services will bridge the gap between research and practice, ensuring that innovations reach the grassroots.
The bills aimed at establishing institutions such as the National Institute of Agricultural Research and Entrepreneurship in Ogun State and the Federal College of Land Resources Technology in Sokoto State received endorsements. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
State governments are being encouraged to domesticate statutory law against financial crimes and sensitize staff, citizens and stakeholders at all levels in promoting ethical reorientation and changing societal tolerance for corrupt practices. This persuasion came up during the opening ceremony of a 3-day legislative workshop on anti-corruption, fiscal responsibility and good governance, convened by the House Committee on Financial Crimes. Joshua Ogunjide reports.
Nigeria has been battling public sector corruption, money laundering, illicit financial flows, and various types of fraud for decades, despite current legal and institutional measures. Opinion leaders therefore believe that corruption can never be diminished and adequately eradicated without integrity as well as transparency on the part of officials, systems, and institutions.
The unprecedented feat recorded by EFCC in 2024 is indeed very encouraging, with the recovery of 365.4 billion naira, cum 4,111 convictions secured. This is why the EFCC chairman was very optimistic when he said, in another 6 months, we will deliver a brand new EFCC in Nigeria.
The event therefore offers Edo State fertile ground for cross-sectional dialogue, knowledge sharing and capacity strengthening tools needed in the long-term battle against corruption and maladministration.
I want to encourage you, please, to come up with legislation, policy framework that will strengthen the work of anti-crime regime in looking at the issues at the state level. In the recent time, we have seen state government taking the various anti-graft institutions to court on account of the fact that they believe what obtains at the EFCC and ICB should not cover them. Nigerian legislature, the National Assembly should look into this critically.
Deola Olukoyede-led Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC amongst other stakeholders were also in attendance. In Abuja, Joshua Okuchide, NT News.
Speakers at the public hearing on 3 related polytechnics and federal colleges amendment bill are calling for more investment in technical education, entrepreneurship and skill acquisition to bridge the gaps in innovation, employment and industrialization. National Assembly correspondent Isa Mohammed has more.
The 3 bills include bills seeking to establish the Federal College of Entrepreneurship and Skills Acquisition in Borno State, while 2 others are proposed amendments to the Federal Polytechnics Act aimed at strengthening Nigeria's polytechnics and technical education system.
The 10th House of Representatives remains committed to advancing policies reform that position technical and vocational education at that forefront of Nigerian socio-economic renewal.
We can collectively agree that Nigerians can acquire knowledge and skills in social sciences, arts, humanities, technology, science, entrepreneurship, vocational and technical education with the passage of these bills.
The dual polytechnics bills also seek to review functions and expand the scope of operations in line with best global practice. Stakeholders believe that the public discourse presents a platform for valuable insights and feedback on critical legislative efforts targeted at improving technical education in Nigeria.
The establishment of this Federal College of Entrepreneurship represents a significant step towards economic development and job creation in the region.
Furthermore, the Federal Ministry of Education has streamlined and expanded avenues for the establishment of private tertiary institutions. States and individuals are encouraged to leverage on this opportunity to contribute to national educational development.
On the National Assembly, Isa Muhammad, NTA News.
This is where we conclude parliamentary news. Remember, you can still watch this news and other programs on our social media handles showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. On behalf of the production crew, I am Abubakar Galadima.